Trump spoke to the people. Democrats never once mentioned Arnold Palmer's. Never once.
Jon, hold on tight. This is crazy. Stewart simply lit fire to his own party, and the Democrats were spectacularly and unrestrainedly roasted.
Justice issues take a back seat when your son is in the basement vaping and playing video games and can't find a job.
I feel like that last guy was really venting more about his son.
To be honest, the storyline was a mix of political autopsy and stand-up, and he disclosed the exact reason why they are losing all of their credibility in the elections. To make sure you never miss another political thrashing like this, hit the subscribe button before we get into the craziness. Stewart brought the scalpel, and I have all the gory clips ready.
The election was stolen. More people voting for Donald Trump. It's quite a caper. Ocean's 74 million.
Trump and the Republican Party emphasized that they did more than just campaign. They spoke to the emotions of the electorate. Their message was succinct, straightforward, and, most importantly, it connected. Stewart pointed it out with razor-sharp clarity as Republicans courted the public and Democrats courted the media. Stewart started off by making fun of the Democrats for their infatuation with optics, flawless photo ops, well-crafted slogans, and constant caving in while completely neglecting the one factor that truly determines electoral success: the electorate. They produced the posters, had the rallies, checked all the identity boxes, and neglected to engage with actual people. Stewart drops another amusing truth bomb.
As many on the left fear the future, as they should. Many others read the past.
Joe Biden should have dropped out earlier.
There should have been an open primary.
2 years ago, when individuals like us were highlighting the clear indications of Biden's mental illness, we were labeled conspiracy theorists and spread around social media. With their silent, embarrassed tails firmly between their legs, the same crowd has returned and is finally acknowledging that we were correct all along. It's amusing how narratives are frequently confronted by reality. I have to admit, before we get on to the Stewart piece, that I always flinch when I hear Democrats and media pundits argue that Biden ought to have departed sooner.
Trump spoke to the people. Democrats never once mentioned Arnold Palmer's. Never once.
Trump's commitment and ability to relate to everyday Americans set him apart from Kamala Harris, who felt that the country was heading in the wrong direction and bravely decided to work to reform it from within. Whether or not they liked Trump, they were drawn to him by his personality and unadulterated charm. Despite a full-scale media campaign aimed at discrediting him, he possessed an irresistible charm. If you're a moderate or right-winger, you'll cringe when you see the next tape. Harris found it difficult to pinpoint a mission, a message, or even a definite position. One started a movement, the other just went along with the plan.
It's their own pet theory. It's one theory that a lot of people seem to be coalescing around.
They were too woke, insisting that people use the term Latinx too far to the left on transgender rights.
You have to say they. No, you have to do this.
Stop with the virtue signaling.
Step away from war.
Over the past few years, we have heard and seen some truly bizarre things from the left. I remember being instructed, as if basic grammar had become objectionable, to use they instead of he or she. The parade of self-declared identities followed, with people urging us to use our preferred pronouns, no matter how absurd, or face accusations of bigotry. Not to mention the entire Latinx controversy, which activists promoted in the name of advancement even though no one in the Latino communities actually asked for the term. It's as though reality was taken over by a committee of Twitter users.
Justice issues take a back seat when your son is in the basement vaping and playing video games and can't find a job.
I feel like that last guy was really venting more about his son.
This individual seems to have shared a very personal tale, and the look on his face captures the pain and annoyance that comes when wokeness rips through your own family. You have to fight back at that moment, even if it means pointing the finger at your own loved ones. You can no longer remain silent. However, he is not alone. Many Americans have felt the hurt of these so-called progressive ideas that the Biden administration has promoted, whether at the dinner table, in the workplace, or in schools. How many of you have seen this surge of woke ideology firsthand? In the comments section, please share your experiences. I'd want to know how it affected you. Some of you may be disappointed by what Stewart says next.
I have one problem with the woke theory. I just didn't recall seeing any Democrats running on woke shit. These were the commercials I saw for the Democrats.
Sherrod Brown is working to fix our border crisis.
At this point, I believe it's reasonable to conclude that Jon Stewart is experiencing acute selective amnesia. Was he blind to the slew of awakened rubbish emanating from within? Did he notice AOC supporting the absurd Latinx designation that the majority of true Latinos reject? Or did he miss Elizabeth Warren listing her pronouns at the start of speeches as though it were a moral requirement? What if Kamala Harris used the pronouns she and my to introduce herself? She seems to be on a college campus instead of the world stage. These were major Democratic officials promoting identity politics as if it were the norm, not marginal radicals. Despite their ability to see the light, some of these political commentators I've found nonetheless relish the dark. When it suits them, they will call out the madness, condemn their own party, and even mock its policies. But when it comes time to cast their votes, they will support the same party that is pushing the concepts they just spent 10 minutes dissecting. Because of this, I think it is hypocritical to back a government that advocates for ideas that you clearly disagree with. If you truly care about altering morals and what's right, your vote should reflect your dedication to ideals rather than your party affiliation. Otherwise, if this conversation merely leads to further confusion, what good is it? The icing on the cake is that, come election season, even the pundits who know this will not admit it. In the end, the majority of them will still vote for the same party they have been denigrating for months. So even if they attack Biden for freezing in mid-sentence, or Harris for her incoherence, their objections will vanish faster than a deleted tweet when election season rolls around. This is because, despite their continued adherence to the same power system that created the crisis, they want to be recognized for speaking truth to power. While Democrats are compelled to defend leaders they disagree with in order to avoid voting for someone they genuinely despise. At least Trump's fans understood what they were getting and didn't bat an eye. Stewart ended by showing a chart from 1984 that showed how Republicans had seized control of nearly every state save Minnesota, and offering what he said were words of optimism for the Democrats. Although political tides can shift and comebacks are possible, let's not deny that the circumstances in 1984 were very different from those that exist today. The Democratic Party of today is not only outdated, but outright opposed to the principles that founded this nation. That is cultural self-destruction, not only political drift. Whether Stewart is aware of it or not, he was displaying a warning flag rather than offering his party hope. Whether they will read it before it's too late is the question. America wasn't becoming woke, dismantling its own institutions, changing fundamental facts, protecting terrorist sympathizers, deleting the concept of a woman, or making people use preferred pronouns to express themselves in a way that the state approves of. Sincerely, I think that abandoning the identity politics, forced language, woke narratives, and constant virtue signaling is the only way for the Democrats to have a meaningful comeback in 2028. Stop preaching and start delivering on what the people really care about, which isn't whether their government knows the newest term, but rather whether they can afford groceries, gas, and a roof over their heads if they want to win back the trust of voters. Democrats ought to be fully dedicated to enhancing the quality of life for average Americans by establishing a stable economy, good-paying jobs, easily accessible health care, and competent, transparent governance. Their preoccupation with fighting fringe culture has clouded their perception and made them blind to issues at the dinner table. In order to compete in 2028, Those in charge of making election decisions must get back to the basics, rein in the radical fringe, and return to reality because they are currently writing their own obituary. The video for today will now come to an end. If you like our spicy comments, please click the like button and subscribe to this channel. We value your time and look forward to seeing you again soon.